Hello everybody, at the time of recording you can probably tell that I am a little under the weather, so I'm going to recruit the help of my lovely sister Maggie to give you the story of Heidelberg Raceway.
Heidelberg, PA is a small suburb about 6 miles to the south of Pittsburgh. It sits alongside Interstate 79 and has an estimated population of about 1,300. Post-World War II, a seafood restaurant owner named Ike Wright had the idea to build a horse racing track to entertain locals. He recruited the financial help of Art Rooney, the founder of the Pittsburgh Steelers. The problem with this plan was that organized horse racing was illegal in Pennsylvania at the time. So instead, the crew developed the 1/2 mile dirt layout they were working on into an auto racing track. The track was under construction through 1947 and opened in 1948. The final design included a 1/2 mile dirt oval with a 1/4 mile oval inside of it. They shared a start-finish straightaway with a grandstand for the fans. The track ran on Thursday nights to start, which was decided on to avoid as many conflicts as possible with the Pittsburgh Pirates baseball team. The first night was almost a rainout, and the work done to the track by the drivers led to a dust bowl of an event. But nonetheless, racing was underway. The first season of racing saw weekly events on the 1/4 mile with midgets and some special events on the 1/2 mile with sprint cars. The program ran like this for a few years, and in 1950, stock cars were added to the list of events, with sanctioning from the newly formed NASCAR company. They hosted a race in 1949 as part of the first ever season of NASCAR's Strictly Stock Series, which evolved into the major series of NASCAR still running to this day. That race was won by Lee Petty, and in 1951 they hosted another NASCAR race, which was won by Herb Thomas. Even though they only hosted 2 races of their premier series, the promotion of weekly action was taken over by NASCAR for local racing at Heidelberg. The promotion by NASCAR ended in 1953, and in 1954 the track was taken over by a man named Ed Witzberger to continue the stock car racing. As the season progressed, he also formed the Pittsburgh Racing Association. This was a coalition of weekly racing at local tracks like Clinton, Monduke, and Heidelberg. The PRA would host up to 5 races in a week for stock cars at the local tracks, with Heidelberg being the Thursday night destination. During the 1950s, special events included special commentary by a track announcer. They picked Chris Economaki to do this, and he would later go on to a long career of commentating races, including 13 years on the IMS radio network to deliver the Indianapolis 500 to the world. The PRA would run stock cars at the track until 1960. In 1961, the track switched from running stock cars to late models, which were, at this point, becoming the more conventional cars for local racing as stock cars evolved away from junkyard finds to purpose-built racing machines. In 1967, to keep up interest and relevance, both the inner and outer circuits were paved. Heidelberg driver and racing historian Don Gamble stated once that this was done because Witzberger saw the writing on the wall that NASCAR would be moving away from dirt racing to asphalt, so he wanted to get ahead of the curve. Asphalt late model racing took over at the track and became the main attraction from 1967 all the way to the end of the track's life in 1973. In 1972, Ed Witzberger decided to hang up his hat and lease the facility to a local driver named Tom Kalila to operate in 1973. This situation only lasted 1 year, and Tom decided not to renew the lease, citing the energy crisis that the U.S. was experiencing as the reason. Like many tracks, Heidelberg was built way outside of town, but as population increased, it ended up becoming prime real estate once the city limits caught up to it. The land was sold for development into a strip mall, now known as Raceway Plaza South. The track itself was positioned with the straightaways perpendicular to I-79. Turns 1 and 2 would be under and behind the Walmart, with turns 3 and 4 below the parking areas of the Shop and Save and the Lowe's. The start-finish line is roughly below the area of the indoor lumberyard at that Lowe's. Heidelberg has historical significance for being the site of the final performance of the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus under the Big Top. It was also the site of a first date for a young couple that eventually raised a son who became one of the most iconic team owners in racing, Chip Ganassi. Hosting a NASCAR race in its first official season, seeing racing greats from Jimmy Bryan and Lee Petty to Rusty Wallace and Mark Martin compete there. It had top-tier amenities, being one of America's first tracks with an electronic scoreboard and air conditioning in the press box. It had big purses, well-kept infrastructure, and a great reputation across the country. The front stretch grandstand from this track, along with some other parts and pieces, now sit in use at Pittsburgh's Pennsylvania Motor Speedway in Imperial. If you ever end up there, you'll quite possibly be sitting in the same seat that someone used 50-plus years ago in Heidelberg.
So that's the story. Hope you guys have enjoyed, and look forward to bringing you another Lost Speedways video when I get my voice back again next time.